Welcome back to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. Today we've got Huge, the co-founder of Floot.com, fresh out of Y Combinator and not fully out yet. He's already making moves. Floot is an AI-powered platform that helps anyone, coder or not, build real production-ready web apps just by chatting with AI. Huge calls this vibe coding, and don't we all? Not just throwing a one-shot prompt at the machine, but actually co-building and iterating with it until your vision comes alive. What started as a scrappy experiment on Reddit is now one of the top products on Product Hunt, complete with the specialized framework, built-in hosting, and serious full-stack muscle. Today, we'll dive into the future of vibe coding and why non-coders are leading the way, and how Floot plans to stand out in a crowded AI dev space. Let's get into it with Huge from Floot. But first, some business. This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster, the easiest way for founders, CEOs, and experts to grow their brand through podcast guesting. Imagine landing interviews on the shows your customers actually listen to without cold pitching, without chasing hosts, and without wasting hours of your time. That's what Kitcaster does. We've already booked over 15,000 interviews for 800 clients, helping founders raise capital, close deals, and build authority in their industries. If you've got a story to tell or a product to sell, Kitcaster puts you in front of the right audiences with done-for-you podcast outreach. Ready to go on podcasts? Head over to kitcaster.com and let's get you booked. That's Kitcaster by Moburst. Now, you and I know startups aren't built in boardrooms. They're built in the wild, during 3 a.m. bug fixes, botched launches, and that one meeting where everything almost fall apart. That's what Code Story is all about. It's a podcast where tech founders break down the make or break moments behind their products, what went wrong, what went right, and what nearly wrecked everything. Hosted by Noah Labhart, Code Story goes past the highlight reel and into the honest stuff. Late pivots, brutal bugs, and somehow coming out alive with a product people actually love. If you're in the build stage, or the scale stage, or the please let this feature work stage, I can relate. This show will speak to your soul. Listen to Code Story at codestory.co or wherever you get your podcast. Just search Code Story, it'll be right at the top. Because great startups aren't born, they're forged, one hard moment at a time. codestory.co. All right, Huge, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to learn about Floot. Now, before we get going, I want you to define for me, what is vibe coding?
Vibe coding, to me, I think it's when you have an idea in mind and you're just like using natural language to have the AI build out for you. To me, I think, and a lot of people like to do like this whole one-shot prompt thing, like, oh, I one-shot like Netflix or Airbnb. But to me, I think it's more important that when you're vibe coding, you're actually co-building or iterating with the AI. Like, because the idea is never fully formed, and you're kind of like seeing it take shape as you build it out more. So to me, I think a lot of the vibe coding, at least, is like about having the AI build out your vision and also refining your vision.
Amazing. Now, you are the founder of Floot, which actually just launched. That's floot.com, Floot.com. And would it be safe to say this is a vibe coding platform?
Can you say that again?
Would it be safe to say that this is a vibe coding platform?
Yes. We do have some small discussions among ourselves, like, do we want to go with the best vibe coding platform or something like that? But I think so far we feel like vibe coding to me still sounds a little bit not serious, and we really try to build this platform as a place for you to build like serious apps. So we don't actually have vibe coding like on our website or like tagline, but I think it's safe to say it's kind of I think according to my definition earlier, I think it does fit into the category.
100%. Now, we're big fans of vibe coding. The kind of early leaders seem to be Bolt, Lovable, VO, Replit. How does this kind of fit in, and where do you differentiate?
Yeah, so I think if you look at the vibe coding platforms, they are kind of different. I feel like they all serve different audience in a sense. Like we have some users coming from Replit, and they were just like, oh, Replit is so complicated, because I feel like Replit is very technical. I think Bolt to some extent is also fairly technical, but they mainly specialize more in like having you prototype something quickly, and then you kind of move on to like Cursor or like whatever kind of coding tool you have. Um, uh, and V0 also, coming from the cell, obviously, I think they're still like more leaning towards the like being more technical side of things. I think Lovable is probably like closer to where we are, where they're like more non-technical focus. I'll say that our differentiation there is that we actually provide a more serious hosting platform. Once you finish building, and I think we also invest a lot more into like the whole building experience. When you're building a full stack app, like everyone claims that they are full stack, right? But it's actually not that easy to do it right. I think the fact that we have our own hosting platform and we even do like a very special framework. It's kind of almost like Next.js, but like for AI to write code. That's like deeply integrated into our platform. Like it really makes it a lot easier for I think I'm sure like it's the same AI model, but like they were able to do a lot better job on our platform.
Amazing. And congratulations. I mean, you just launched. It's fresh. So maybe talk us through a little bit the idea for the platform. I know you're a graduate or a YC, and then how you kind of decided through that YC cohort to actually go ahead and launch Floot.
Yeah. Well, so actually YC is wrapping up in a couple of weeks, still in the process.
Still in it. Nice.
Yeah. So it's crazy busy right now. So are you asking me about like how this idea came around and how our YC journey was like?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and also I think the idea kind of started like way earlier, maybe like start of this year, end of last year ish. Was mostly experiment. It was actually more front end focused. I think at the time it wasn't like I tried to give it to like some friends, some people like in the community, and I don't think it was that well received. People don't really have a need for that. But thinking more of it with like Cursor, but with better front end integrations. But the interesting thing is that once I put it onto Reddit, I got a lot of response from people that already code, and they were like very excited by like the fact that they can like like use natural language to like promote something that looks pretty nice. And then they're like, the question was basically like, all right, like how do I connect the database? How do I like launch it as like a proper website? And back then it didn't even have pages or whatever. It was really like very funny and like single page, and people would like try to hack around it to like have a multi-page app. And so that really kind of brings me like, all right, like there's probably something we can build here that actually has a lot of demand for. So I think, so I worked with my co-founder on this idea together. We can build our whole backend, front end. We're really upset with like making it actually work well. And then we did like a free test on Reddit. Funny enough, we like going to these competitors they just mentioned, just going to their sub and like this thing, if you want to test for free. And the response was actually really strong. I think there's like shows there's like a huge demand there. And I think one thing that's really interesting that happened was some of them, I mean, obviously it's free, so people try it out. Some of them drop off, some of them like it, whatever. But like some of them actually say, like, all right, can I pay for this? So like, all right, there's something there. That's when we kind of incorporated. We start like trying to charge users. I think kind of right around the same time was like the YC application deadline. So we also decided to apply. Got in, and that's kind of go through the whole YC process. I think there's a lot in YC I can talk about too, but through this process, obviously we go on launch YC, and then we just try to push it out to like product hunt, and that's where we are now.
Fantastic. It's incredible. And, do you remember which subreddits you were kind of communicating with folks in?
I mean, we pretty much went to a lot of competitor subreddits. I think there's Floot, Replit. I don't know, we're probably getting banned right now. Yeah, like it just there's like people there are obviously very high intent, and I think they're not happy with where these products are, or at least there's still a sizable number of people that are not super happy about them.
Yeah. You're the second person I've talked to that has found validation on Reddit. What do you think it is about Reddit? Yeah, I mean, the criticism of Web 2 communities that are based in anonymity, that people are generally mean to each other, but Reddit seems to kind of prove the opposite.
Yeah, I think people already are nice. They're not mean. I think it's Reddit. It's like a nice place where people bring community together. Like if you're into vibe coding, I think there's actually a couple other vibe coding subs that we have tried to promote our product before. And people there are very open to trying things out. So I do think it's a good place to have your product out there. Obviously, you still need to convince people to like that you're worth a try.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Um, I think just the sense of community. Like, well, I think part of that is there are always going to be someone that's interested in trying things out. They will upvote your thing, they will like comment on it, and I think that probably help kind of brings the more hesitant people who are just browsing around more engaged. So there's quite like a network effect there.
Yeah, 100%. Very cool. So your launch schedule is super aggressive. I mean, you start from like a couple of months ago with the idea, you run it into YC, and you launch before demo day. What's the reason for the launch so soon?
Well, I mean, to be fair, we have always been launching even before then. Like I said, we did a free test and we started charging people, and then I think we still go on Reddit to like find more users. Um, Obviously, the we launch 5C and production launch is bigger scale, and we got a lot more visibility. But I think it's just launch, like, if something, best way to validate it is to launch it, to have users using it, to have people actually willing to pay for it. And they will tell you what you can be proof of.
Yeah, 100%. It's so cool. I mean, let's talk about like the back end. So what model is does Flute use?
We actually use all of the best models. So we have some we use L3 from OpenAI. We're probably gonna look into GPT-5 soon. We use Claude a lot too. We use the Gemini models from Google. We also use a couple other small models for like more auxiliary tasks here and there. But our philosophy has always been like, don't cheap out our models. Like use the best model, give you people the best result.
Does it fluctuate, or do you have kind of a process that it starts depending on the prompt or depending on the sequence of in chain of events, it's running through different tools?
Yeah, you're right. So, I think when you're talking to Floot, it actually has, it like kind of breaks things down into tasks. And we have a way to kind of route some of these tasks to like different kinds of tasks, different kinds of models, depending on, things like latency, cost, benefit analysis, and like, um, whether this model is really suited for the task. Like one example here is when debugging, we try to use the L3 models a lot because in the thinking so far, I still think that OpenAI probably nailed the whole like RL training and thinking the best. So in terms of more like complicated things that you need to think through, I think L3 does a pretty good job.
Yeah. Amazing. So I personally absolutely love vibe coding. It's the best. Now, there's a fantastic vibe coding group here in Denver that meets every other week. I think Denver also has the very first AI co-work space that Danny Newman put together. And it's an extraordinary place, big barrel top warehouse, creative kind of place. I mean, it's appropriate to go in there and do some vibe coding, but also like if you were to like rehearse your punk band, it probably would also be pretty cool, you know? Now, what I love about vibe coding is it brings together everybody. So in this group, you have senior developers, you have junior developers, you have product people, you have people that there's a guy who brews beer. There's people with ideas. There's people that are very well versed. And the exciting thing is it kind of flattens the table to say that like we all have different skills and areas of expertise and curiosities. And with vibe coding, at least, you can kind of come together on projects and see what you can make. And because we're in this infancy of what this is, the capabilities are still kind of wide open. Like we still haven't hit the walls of like what exactly can we do? And then also that begs the question of what are the kind of products that are AI native that are going to really take off in this kind of like big hype cycle as far as AI. Now, that being said, I love AI or I love vibe coding, but it does have its haters. Now, what would you say that the vibe coding haters get right?
What does the vibe coding haters get right?
Yeah.
Uh, hmm. Well, so far, I think the only time that we have run into haters is when we try to launch in more like developer-centric communities.
Yeah.
Um, I think I do see a point from them that, like the AI generated codes are not necessarily the easiest for human to understand. I think AI tend to write code in a AI way, if I might. Um, And it's kind of like if you are a developer, you have this colleague who likes to write code in a way you don't like, and it's not the best. You're not going to enjoy that working relationship. Um, so I don't think there's something there. Maybe that's why some of these people don't like it. I do think there's also another kind of emotion there about like potentially this would kind of make developers less valuable, maybe. So there's like a whole fear. Although I personally think that vibe coding is here to stay, and it's for anyone. Like, obviously for people that don't write code, it's gonna unlock like huge possibilities. But also for people who write code, like including me personally, we also use Floot to build Floot, right? And it's a huge unlock for our productivity too. And just like a couple of days ago, I tried to like run some numbers using our database, and we just have Floot like kind of look at our database and run a query. Honestly, like, those things like I've done that before myself, maybe, but it's gonna take way longer. So yeah, I think there's something. I can understand where some of these haters are coming from. But I also think that overall it's probably like a more positive thing for us than negative.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, I think it is largely, it feels like an existential threat, but they also get to benefit from the tool as well. Like to your point, they can use Floot and 10x their productivity. Now, it seemed like in the beginning, we were talking about more of a utopian future where, because we can 10x our productivity with AI, we 10x our rest and relaxation. But it sure doesn't seem like that's happening. It seems like the opposite. It seems like actually now we have much more on our plate and we're able to process that information and at a higher level, much faster. I, for one, find it very pleasing and intoxicating. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if you look back in time, like, 40 years ago, people were writing games using assembly. Right. And nowadays you can byte code a game yourself in like 1 hour. So that's a huge change there. But even in between, there was obviously all these new technologies that make creating games a lot easier. And that just results in like more interesting games. But ultimately people still kind of spend time building them and playing them. I think it brings, I feel like it's not just like, it doesn't just like give you more things. It allows you to build things more in depth too. And that's why maybe like even with all of this productivity boost, you will still be doing kind of maybe even the same thing, but now you get to do a lot, like going a lot deeper in a shorter time with those things.
I agree. And I also really, when I go to the zoo, I like to look at the primates because I really relate to them. How they're just so lazy. They just roll around and eat lettuce and apples. And just basically that's me on Sunday,
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is that like I have this ramp, that like begins Monday morning, kind of on a like a productivity hangover from the weekend and then ramps up through Thursday through Friday. Friday, I'm getting pretty torched. And then boom, on Saturday, Sunday, I'm hanging out with my kids. I'm going on hikes. I'm doing a little archery. Kind of whatever. But I've really found that like it takes me like a day or two to start really ramping up to that capacity that I'm firing on by, let's say it's Tuesday afternoon. Now I feel I'm really well tuned up. I can have, 17 tabs open and do 4 projects at the same time. And I feel really invigorated by doing that. Do you find that there's a similar hangover from just like relaxation that you need to ramp up your skills again through the week?
Maybe before, but with YC, honestly, I don't think there's relaxation. It's work every day, every hour.
Every day, every hour, nonstop. Well, that's good. So at least you can keep a pace going, What about your demo day? When's that coming up?
I think let me actually look at it again. It's in about 3-4 weeks. Yeah.
Now, 3 or 4 weeks, what is the ideal outcome for you? Obviously, you'll have offers for equity share, for investment opportunities, for Floot. What are you looking to get out of it?
Yeah, I think demo day is really about getting investments. So we work with our YC partners to kind of come up with how we should go about doing that. And demo day is really like a chance for us to like show this project to a lot of investors, get them interested, And I think that leads you to more conversations. And hopefully we close them and we get the investment offers.
Yeah. What would be a good seed round for you? I know a lot of people are talking about seed strapping. Other folks are looking for the biggest check they can get, particularly in a space like this where you have some pretty heavy competitors. What would a good seed round look like for you?
Yeah, so we're not actually looking to raise any like crazy numbers. I think obviously there's a lot of competitors. But we also like pretty lean and want to stay that way. I think raising too much money has its downsides too. Like there's obviously dilution. I think it's also like sense of like losing urgency. And we also don't like the idea of like we just like pumping millions of dollars into getting users if those users don't end up staying with us. So I think to us, we'll probably raise like a pretty regular seed round. And let's get back to work as soon as we can.
Yeah. So it also seems like a good path to success is kind of differentiating on kind of the ideal customer. So if you had to pick one segment of people that would really love your tool, who would those people be?
Yeah. So I think right now our focus is already on like founders or entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Building, new products or building things for the existing business.
Cool. Now, maybe you can help me with some like ideas. Yeah. Because I probably built a couple dozen things. And I put a task on myself months ago that I'm going to ship one thing per week, largely so I can see what people are wanting, but also to limit the size and scope of the products I'm putting out. I have a kind of a hypothesis that something very easy, simple, sleek, that just fits into somebody's daily life in a very normal way is kind of the stuff I want to experiment with. So by saying, okay, you got a week to put this through, it puts the proper parameters on the project. Now, what happens though, is I'm starting to create very similar products. So when you're talking about games, like what is the ability to kind of use Floot to design games?
Yeah, I think games is a very challenging area, and I can see products specializing in those areas. So far, I have seen people building like simpler games. I think the difficult part with games is once you get into the more advanced, like, you're gonna do 3D animations and like really complicated gaming logics. There is a bottleneck of how you can communicate effectively with AI on like how exactly the game should work. And I think that AI still has, I think there's still some technological limitations where the AI have to deal with like really complex logics. I do think that there's like interesting and simpler games that you can probably build with today's technology. If you're not like going into like the really crazy high-end gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. What about like 8-bit games? Could I build Super Mario Brothers?
Oh, so so kind of this is coming from more like a technical perspective. I think you can probably build something that works like Super Mario Brothers. The difficulty there then is just designing the levels. And kind of coming up with a way to actually design that in whatever game that you're building.
Cool. I bet you could build like some like Oregon Trail. Do you know about Oregon Trail?
Actually, I haven't heard of that.
It goes way back. This is like, back in the floppy disk days, but like you could, it was a fun game where like you're setting off on the Oregon Trail, and it was kind of like a choose your own adventure kind of word game. But then every once in a while you'd go deer hunting and you could hit the space bar and shoot at the deer. It's absolutely captivating in 1989. But it was really cool. So, okay. So on a limited scale, there could be games. I haven't really gone into games too much, largely because, I don't know, I'm more interested in kind of, I would say, tools. Now, one thing I've tried a couple of times, and I would love just to get some feedback, or maybe I can approach this problem. So one of my problems I have is I just can't seem to eat enough protein. Like if I look at the recommendations, I'm supposed to be getting like 200 grams of protein a day. That's a lot of protein. So, I've tried a couple of times of figuring out either like a recommendation engine for like how to get it. How would you approach kind of building a tool that can help somebody who needs to get more protein?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. If I'm going to do this, I'll first start with almost like a simple log app that you can log in like stuff I have eaten today. And, I think AI can probably estimate roughly how much protein there is, and then have a way for AI to recommend, like, you should eat this for dinner or something, so you get enough protein.
That'd be a good one. So could you do something like it? You can upload a picture and it would say the protein that would complement or something like that.
Yeah, so I think picture will be another interesting to do. That's just like, instead of logging, just have the AI look at a picture and come up with a number of like proteins in that picture.
And okay, I'm gonna give it a shot right now while we're talking. Upload a picture and have recommendations for additional protein. Okay. This episode is brought to you by MoBurst, the AI-first growth engine trusted by iconic startups like Calm, Robinhood, Reddit, Uber, and Google. MoBurst is a digital full-service mobile-first marketing agency that helps companies to scale and become category leaders. Whether you're finding product market fit or ready to accelerate growth, MoBurst delivers creative, data-driven solutions that help with scale and efficiency and impact. At MoBurst, we're not just guessing what works, we're predicting it. As an AI-first agency, MoBurst uses cutting-edge tools to analyze user behavior, adapt creative in real time, and uncover hidden growth opportunities. The result, marketing that's faster, smarter, and built to convert. From early-stage startups to global brands, we've helped hundreds of companies overcome complex challenges, unlock new audiences, and optimize every metric that matters. At MoBurst, we believe that creative thinking, advanced technology, and data are the core drivers of success at scale. If you're serious about scaling your business with precision and purpose, it's time to talk to MoBurst. Visit moburst.com and let's build something category-defining together. Okay, cool. Now, one thing that I notice that I'm doing more and more when I'm working on tools like this is I'm bouncing back between GPT and in my case, I use Lovable. From now on, I'm gonna be using Floot.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing is I'll say, hey, GPT, I want to vibe code an app in Floot, and I want you to ask me questions to make it better. So I'll go through like this whole process of like kind of discovery and ideas through GPT, and then I'll say, okay, make the prompt. Then I take the prompt and I go and put that over in Floot, for example, like this. Is that a common use case for some of these platforms?
Yeah, we have seen a lot of people doing that actually. Usually when you see someone have a very long prompt, chances are it's generated by GPT. But we think that we can provide something that's more built-in, that just go through the questions with you and then build out the thing for you. One issue with that, I'm not sure whether it happens with other platforms. I think it probably does. Is that GPT come up with its own opinions on like the kind of stack that you should use, and it's not always like, it doesn't always work on our platform. Mm-hmm. Like for example, we already have our own database. So like GPT does say like use Supabase, which I'm sure is like bringing a lot of good business to Supabase. But like that's just like unnecessary and like adds more friction to your building process. So we actually have to do something there to reduce some of those prompting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty valid use case that you kind of have some process to have you refine the idea, and then you kind of dump that into a more specialized agent.
Yeah, and maybe I'm really looking for like new use cases too, because like I said, I'm kind of pigeonholing myself into kind of a standard way I'm using it, which I think is fine. But I think it's largely built on the tool. So, for example, with Lovable, you create something, you can deploy it, you can buy the URL, so you have a custom URL. It's got a landing page, and then the app is housed within this website, so you can share it really easily. But the more I've been thinking about some new tools, they're not necessarily web tools. Like, for example, I wanted to make like a Chrome extension for different products. Are there other deployment like platforms that I should be considering when I'm thinking about building tools with these AI designers like Floot?
Yeah. So first of all, I think Floot wouldn't be able to do a Chrome extension. We're just focusing on web apps right now.
Okay.
I think for like some of this, like I would say, I guess they do qualify as more niche use case. Like maybe someone should actually build like a Chrome extension vibe coding app thing. But also I think you might be able to get enough success with Cursor and whatnot if you are if you're already thinking about Chrome extensions, you could have some level of technical knowledge to like maybe work around those issues. And typically, these things don't tend to be too complicated that you can probably do it well enough on like most of the platforms.
Very cool. So I was working on my protein app here on Floot, and it directed me to add an OpenAI API. And
Yeah.
is that basically so that like it's pulling from like not only the tokens from my API, but also so it can be informed by my personal API, or I'm sorry, my personal ChatGPT?
Yeah, so right now the way it works is, all of the conversations with Floot goes through the Floot credit system. But if you're building an app yourself, in this case, you're building something with OpenAI, then we could just let you use your own key. We do plan to offer something that's more built in the future, so you can skip this step. But for now, that basically the idea is whatever your app uses, it goes through your own like API connections.
Got it. Amazing. So let's hear about you a little bit. So prior to the Floot explosion with YC and everything else, what were you working on?
Yeah, well, I was an engineer at Retool. So it's a internal tools building, also a YC company. I think so back at Retool, I rebuilt the whole runtime system in Retool, and I think that gave me a lot of experience of like building, this like Floot. The Floot is a platform where the AI has access to all of this under the hood code infrastructure that you can like get feedback and make changes quickly. Before Retool, I was at Asana, working a lot on the web front end and like, so I actually rebuilt the Asana text editor. I think I worked on like the Asana, I don't know if you whether you use Asana, but it used to be more like a list kind of view. And I think at some point Asana might kind of introduce the whole spreadsheet view, and I worked on some of those too. Before that, I actually went to school in Singapore, and I kind of moved to the States for work.
Amazing. And then, so what was the what was the impetus to make the jump?
To after Retool.
Yeah, or basically, those are some big companies and probably some really fun projects. Why dive into startup world?
So it's something I always wanted to do. I think it's just hard to find the right time. And I feel like at some point I just ran out of excuses. I think to me, it was like, I think last year I was like, maybe I should start exploring this idea. And back then I didn't even know what I want to work on. So I just decided to take some breaks and see if I can find something interesting.
Nice. And this is certainly interesting, isn't it? Okay. What I want to do, you're a new founder. This is your first startup. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to do the founder challenge questions brought to you by kitcaster.com. Are you ready?
All right.
All right. There's 4 different categories of questions to choose from.
Okay.
So whether you want tough, explosive, risky, or reflective.
Let's go risky.
Let's go risky. I like your style. All right. Have you ever made a decision purely to spite someone?
Purely to spite someone? Probably did. I was not maybe I did something mean back at school. Who knows?
That's kind of a mean question, isn't it? Let's see what else we got here. All right. Ooh, what's a decision you had to make that you knew would hurt other people?
Yeah, I did have to fire someone when I was, in my previous job. I think it's a tough decision, but it's something that I had to make.
Yeah. Right now, how big is the team?
Right now, it's me and my co-founder. That's it.
2. Amazing. So you're going to be starting to looking at hiring very soon,
Yes.
maybe in the next 4 to 6 weeks. What will your first couple of hires be? Who will they be?
I think it'll try very hard to find people in my network. It's just we want to close them early. We don't want to go through like lengthy interview processes. That'll be like the top choice. And barring that, that's for like other channels. So probably focusing on that and focusing more on like engineers.
Engineers, more engineers.
Mm-hmm.
When does it make sense to like get into marketing the tool?
get into marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah. Also, we do want to hire someone for marketing too. Um, I just think of it as like in terms of priority, but I think marketing is very important for this tool.
100%. Cool. Have you ever publicly praised a tool or platform that you secretly despised?
No, no, I never done that.
Hey, you chose the risky questions.
Yeah.
This is on you.
They don't sound that bad to me.
Yeah, I had to tone them down. I'm
Yeah.
going to do a question generator on Flute. Now, Flute.com is a great domain. How'd you find the name and the domain?
Well, so we actually had a different name before. And it was like, oh, should we change our name? We asked our YC partner. And he was like, oh, you finally asked me this. Yes, you should change that. I was like, all right, sounds like we should. And we spent quite a bit of time thinking about it. Flu will just turn out to be a name that's easy to remember, that's short. And we can find a domain for a reasonable amount of money for. So we'll go with that.
Yeah, what'd you pay for the domain? Because it's what, 5-letter domain? That is not cheap.
Yeah. It's not that crazy. We pay, I think around 20K, maybe.
30K?
20K, less than 30K.
20K? Yeah, man. That's a great name.
Yeah.
Honestly, do you have a favorite flautist?
A flautist?
Yeah, one who plays flute.
No. So one thing we were actually thinking about this was like, do we want to be associated with like flute instruments?
Yeah.
If you look at our website design, there's like no feeling of flute instruments. So yeah.
Don't do it. I mean, I personally am a jazz fan, and I really like jazz flute. You know, I love like Herbie Mann, of course, because he had great record covers. But I like Eric Dolphy. He played a mean flute. Now, if I play jazz flute around my wife, she gets visibly angry. She cannot handle jazz flute. So yeah, you just keep the flutes out of it, but it is such a great name.
No, thanks.
Cool. We're gonna go into the lightning round now.
All right.
If you had to return to school as a freshman, knowing what you know now, what would you study?
I'll skip school.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I already know what I know. Why do I go to school again?
So there's nothing in the future that you're like, wow, maybe I should study this to get me there.
I wouldn't do that in the school. I would do that. I think it's much more fun to do it, as a way to build something. There are certainly certain subjects where you have to probably go to school for, but I can't really see myself starting with those things. I'll probably just do it outside of school.
I love it. This audience loves business and product ideas. What's something I could vibe code on Flute to make me $1 million in the next 12 months?
Well, if I know that, I would have done that. I think business in general is tricky, right? So I think you have to kind of find the right niche that you are good at, that you can find a channel to sell, and that people actually want, and that's always been hard. I would say that probably find something that you are like really good, like you're a domain expert on, maybe do something around there, and if that thing that has value, then you probably can make some money out of it.
Yeah. You're an ideas guy. Is there an idea hanging out there you wish you had time to get to?
Right now, my focus really is on Float. I don't think I've been like thinking about ideas a lot outside of that. I think there are a lot of interesting things you can do nowadays, given like how much more opportunities is unlocked. I think there's like quite a lot of very interesting way you can look at existing big SaaS companies and just like make something a lot smaller, because then you can now do it, that you have a lot more connection with. Like maybe you're doing podcasts, maybe you can do your own podcast SaaS that you use, or maybe you can sell to your friends who are like doing similar podcasts, instead of like having them to buy any other expensive solution.
Cool. Let's say you sold Flute today for $1 billion. What do you do tomorrow?
Tomorrow I think I'll take a break. But I'll probably get back to it in a couple of months.
What does a break look like? What do you do?
Spend more time with my family. Travel a bit. Yeah, I'm pretty boring outside of work, honestly. I just do like regular relaxation stuff.
Yeah. That's not boring at all. It's necessary, considering your last 6 months have been pretty much pedal to the metal. Now, that being considered, what do you know now that you wish you knew a year ago?
Well, I wish I started on this idea way earlier. I think, that's probably gonna make it a bit easier too, given how crowded it is nowadays. Um, yeah, that's probably like the only thing that I mean, maybe I think about sometimes.
Cool. This has been awesome. I got a couple more for you here for you, huge.
Yeah.
What's the most unsettling thing about AI for you right now?
Most unsettling things. I think it's the it's, I feel like AI has been progressing a lot, but I feel like it's the some of the like promises early on, like the cost have been going down a lot, but it's not really going down as fast as some people want. But imagine that when it does happen, like imagine that whatever vibe coding tool you're using today, it's like 100 times cheaper, 100 times faster. It's actually really very hard to wrap my head around like how that's gonna change the landscape of software. Like, do people still build software in the case for like other people, like because it's so fast, like, or maybe we just have like huge, like really complicated, unimaginable software. Like everyone has their own, like everyone can build their own like Facebook scale software at that point.
I totally agree. The AI's desperate need for power for compute, it might be the biggest outcome of AI is actually creating basically free unlimited power for everybody, because the race is on now. We're probably just a few months away to like major investments in nuclear to fund all these data centers. So, I mean, seem to be like moving very quickly to very, very, very cheap energy, which sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, all these cheap edits is going to be eaten up by AI again. We're not going to get through enough of it.
Still won't be enough,
Yeah.
How are we going to go to war against the UFOs if we don't have all the AI? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Amazing. Where can people connect with you online to learn more about you and your work?
Yes, go to floot.com. We have a Discord community. We're pretty active there. Feel free to join, ask questions around. We have our Twitter accounts, Floot HQ. And we're also pretty active on LinkedIn. Just search for Floot, FLOOT.
Amazing. We have a lot of founders that are listening to the show and probably a lot of soon to be founders, and getting accepted to YC is a major milestone for a successful product. You actually crossed that threshold. What's a step-by-step process people can do to ensure a better chance at getting accepted at YC?
Yeah, I think, well, I only did one YC interview so far. I do think that what my impression was that they care a lot about your conviction. And I think you have to be actually really confident in what you're doing, and knowing that you can succeed. I know some people try to find some random ideas and with the hope of just getting into YC and then figure something else out. I think there's maybe you can succeed in doing that, but like I feel like it's gonna make it hard. Like rather find something that you truly believe in, that you want to spend time on, and I think that does show when you are interviewing with YC.
Amazing. Huge, you're the man. Congratulations, and here's to your continued success.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Hey, founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out aiforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, launching something new, or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit aiforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for founders. Now back to the show.